Howdy y'all, it's Cody from the Keepers of Nerdom. How you doing? Alright, so Balanced Data Slate is supposed to happen today for Warhammer 40k, and it is not. It's been pushed back to next week, so it's actually the beginning of February instead of the end of January as they had said. Expectations versus reality. I'm glad they at least are communicating, hey, it's not actually happening today. I wish they would have done it yesterday, right? That would have been good. Maybe they were that close on the line and then decided, we can't quite make it. Okay, totally get it, but yet earlier communication is better. That's all. So, excuse me. Let's talk about the data slate. What I hope to see. I'll try to be as specific as I can with as many things as I can, but there's obviously some of the factions I just don't know much about if you've been watching my videos on Warhammer. So, I'll try to give you my best guesses on what I would hope to see and predict. Let's go through what I know. So first off, Leagues of Votann. This is a good one to start with. I'll try to just focus really on the factions I know specifically and or have really battled with during 10th edition so far. Apparently they're really strong, and it sounds like the Sagittars are the reason that they're strong. So I think just a small points increase would make those be a less auto-take option and still useful. It's pretty simple stuff right there. Along those same lines, I just don't know anything else with Leagues of Votann that would, maybe some points increases on a few things and then lower it on the call. So I think memory serves, he was the one that wasn't any good. Adeptus Custodes, I think there's one simple fix, and is that what they should do is give them back some sort of mortal wound or devastating wound immunity, such as half damage from it to a minimum of 1. So if it does 1 damage with devastating wounds, you still take 1 damage, something like that maybe, to at least give them some adjustments on making it somewhat useful. But right now, some big heavy weapons can fire on them, which is really their most devastating thing because they can't block it now with they can't block with their invuln save or their save at all because of its devastating wounds, and then their team ability right now doesn't do anything. It's just stupid with that. So they need to adjust it to something like that. I think would be a simple thing. All right, so let's go through our next faction that I could talk about, Grey Knights. I don't want to say points decreases because I think that's dangerous. They're just going to be super hoardy and way too many of them to defeat, and that's just not good. But maybe adjusting some of their weapon strength to be able to deal more with anti-vehicle to actually address some of that. And I don't know exactly where those would be, but I think that's the change that needs to happen. Yeah, very important, I think, there, because right now they're still in a struggling spot for the most part. Eldari, I can at least address them some. Still, points increases on things that are way too strong to make them, that's the reality. If you increase points across the board, even small amounts, it changes what you can and can't take, because even a small increase of even 40, 50 points means potentially a group can't join in your team build, and that can have pretty serious impact. And especially like the things that are super strong, or they really need to do some more nerfing to the fate dice maybe, but at the very least I think points increases are a simple thing that could help fix them. That's my thoughts there. So okay, let's go into factions that obviously I would know more about. Let's talk a little bit about Tau, what adjustments I think they would have. I'm a little shocked that they're not on top at this point in ways. I'm still just shocked that crisis suits are as cheap as they are. I would not be shocked if some things go down in their points, and I'm not going to be shocked whenever the poor Tetras get nerfed into the ground somehow, but crisis suits go up and then other things go down, like Riptide or the broadside suits. Man, I want to play Tau so bad right now. They're just so much fun. Go check out my short on my Riptide that is finally finished with its digital print camo, and let me know what you think. I'd appreciate it. So overall, I think 10th edition is in a decent spot as far as trying to be balanced, other than like obviously Eldari, but we still haven't talked about my one faction that I focus on primarily is Necrons. Now, really, Tau, I want to focus on them too. It's just I haven't gotten to play with them yet. But yeah, I think Tau are in a good spot, and there's just minor fixes that need to happen to adjust them. But I bet their codex is going to totally just flip them on their head too. And because honestly, Necrons were getting close to a sweet spot of figuring stuff out, and then their codex came out and totally just changed everything. And it just created more problems that weren't there over problems that were, and quote unquote fix those other problems to the point that they're now useless units in ways. Some of them, like Necron warriors, are almost questionable to take again, and it's so frustrating. Okay, I'm going to go into some detail here and explain why. I think there's several changes that need to happen for Necrons. I think first off, wraiths need to go up in points. Yeah, that's just necessary. I think they should change. I've thought more about it. The Canoptic Court thing, their stratagem where they could, for 2 CP, get devastating wounds. And I think they should change it back to unit, but limit the devastating wounds in it to like a maximum of 6 or something. Like, give it a number. So that way it's strong for 2 CP. Obviously, you can make it a 0 CP once, but it's not crazy like it has been with the Immortals with Teslas, right? Because then 6 is still a decent amount, to say the least, right? But it's also not 11 or 12. That's the average, right? I think it was like 11. So giving them a max of 5 or 6 or something, boom, that would solve it, and you could still use it. I think obviously the C'tans need to go up a few points because they're strong. Even if it's 10, I really think they should go up probably more, just because of 5-up Feel No Pain on Nightbringer. That's terrifying. Granted, they're slow, but dang. I still don't understand why they reduced them by an inch of movement. They're floating, flying, the star, quote unquote, star gods of the C'tan, or the Necrons, and they're only flying 5 inches at a time. That's weird. Pretty sure Nightbringer's going way faster, looking just at the model. Obviously it's just aesthetic of the model, but it's frustrating with that. Let's see here. I think we really need to have Crypto Thralls go back to what they were with the Feel No Pain, but increase their points even to 80 points maybe, or even just 70, because we didn't get to see the 60-point increase for very long to see if that really fixed them. And I think that's frustrating, right? Because right now, Necron Warriors are just they're not the survivable thing because of the hard nerfs that they've done to their healing. So even just giving back the Crypto Thralls, I think, would bring Necron Warriors back to usable. Should Necron Warriors get a points decrease? If they fix the Crypto Thralls again, back to what they were? No. But if they don't, they should get a points decrease, because they're just not very useful for their point value right now. It's weird. And there's a lot of bodies, but they still just, the resurrection's not useful enough anymore. And I think they need to go to 6 inches with the, even if that means going up by 10 points or something for the reanimator, or even 4 or 5 inches, just to give it a little bit more, because that's silly. 3 inches is just so small, especially when you went from 12 down to 3. That's insane. Yeah, there's that. Lich-Guard should be able to have Mancers back in them. That makes no sense that they can't. Especially that Technomancer can join Crypto or Wraiths, Canoptic Wraiths, but not Lich-Guard. That's silly. That should not ever be a thing. And I think that's just a simple duh answer. Just to the logic of it, that shouldn't happen. Taking something away, we already lost. I mean, think about what Lich-Guard can actually have join them now. It's like Imhotep the Stormlord and Overlord, and is that it? I don't know if the other leader can or not. I don't think they can. Is it Nemesis Andrek? No, it's Anrakir the Trap. No, it's Nemesis Andrek. No. Yeah. So it's like, here's a bodyguard unit made perfectly for the idea of a bodyguard unit. They look just like it, especially with the swords and shields, right? Like almost a Praetorian guard, if you will, and they can't guard hardly anything, and it's just stupid, very stupid that they did that in the codex, and they need to really rethink that. Just do some adjustments to the point values of the bigger things and make our other stuff more valuable again, because Necron Warrior should always be usable in some way. And, you know, obviously Monolith apparently has use, and I'm glad, because I like it, and I'm sad that it still doesn't have an invuln save, but you can get it in the Hypercrypt Legion now, I guess, so there's something there. But yeah, what would you change in the data slate coming out next week? Like, what would you want to see in your faction and why? And if obviously I haven't mentioned all the factions, it's hard to, because I just don't know enough about every single faction to go, yep, here's what needs to change right here. And I've tried to give a few thoughts on some of the small changes from the factions that I've seen, and obviously went into some detail on Necrons, because Necrons had such a drastic change with their codex that was painful in a way, but yet we still had really strong stuff. That's so weird to think about, like, not to just complain, but just to go, hey, buy this other thing over here. And really the thought is, it's very strange to have things that are really strong 1 second and then completely gutted and not useful, and then things over here that are amazing now, and it just feels very strange that your faction changed completely in just a codex release. But let me know in the comments below, what are you looking forward to? What are you hoping to change? What do you hope changes in Eldari? Haha, right? But I've been Cody from the Keepers of Nerddom. Like, share, and subscribe, and thank you so much for joining me. Take care.